Hey everybody, welcome back. It is the Razzball Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Beaton, joined by the one, the only, the fantasy master, Lothario himself, Gray Albright. How you doing there, Gray?
Hey, what's going on, man? I am personally, I am chilling. I'm doing good. Feeling good, Beaton. Actually, I saw as we record this, there was breaking news. Breaking news. Brandon Donovan just got traded to the Mariners, and I believe if I'm not incorrect here, I don't want to overstate what I'm saying, but did you for a second see a B-Don was traded and you were like, oh, thank God I am out of here? I'm so done with Razzball.
He is of the rare first name, last name B-Dons. So, we have our own clans, and he's not part of the right clan for me to be concerned. But I understand where you're coming from, Gray. But quite frankly, we know nobody else could come in and do the three things that need to be done post recording for you, other than me. Or really, I don't even know if anybody knows the passwords other than me. So I mean, at this point, you're stuck with me until I decide to leave, and then I'll hand over the stuff. I'm just job security, just banking on it right now. I might just change the passwords randomly just to really lock it in.
It's you know what? I would argue with any of that, but it's all true. I can't argue. It's absolutely 100% accurate. If anyone knows the passwords, you guys, you can podcast for us.
You can be Gray's co-host. It's probably not even that difficult. You can just randomly guess at things and probably get real close. But it's okay, Gray. You're having a good day. This is a good position to cover. It is shortstop. That's what we're here to talk about. And it's arguably the best position since you only need one of them. Outfield's obviously great, but you need 3 to 5 depending on your league. And maybe in a middle infielder, which will probably come out of this position as well. And I will say there's a lot of really interesting guys that we're going to talk about here. But still, it gets to a point where it's aging veterans, can they do it again types, and prospects seemingly quickly, as we're going through here. Are we just cynical? Am I just cynical after years of doing rankings and the positions all suck? Or are you with me? All of the positions kind of suck compared to when we started playing fantasy baseball, which was obviously, well, at least me. You started before me, but I started in the middle of the steroid era, and I mean, offense was just everywhere. It was I grabbed the 30th first baseman. He hits 30-260, and that's terrible.
That's actually, if you don't mind me saying, that's Ryan Klesko. one of the all-time first basemen. I didn't say all-time great.
He did play first base. Yeah.
Probably hit 30 homers at one point.
He did. He hit 30. Actually, I think he hit better than 260 though. So, he's got that.
Yeah. And if
everybody did. Nobody hit 260.
And if you were in a 6x6 league and your sixth category was sideburns, you were really in for it with Ryan Klesko.
Get him, Rod Beck. You're just stacked.
And Brady Anderson. First excuse me, I'm talking first base. Shortstops have if everything works out correctly, and like you said, you only need one of them. So as I've said a lot of times before, I'll say it again though for you new listeners. I like to draft aggressively in deep positions, and shortstop is a deep position. So I would definitely be going for a shortstop early. If you can get, one of the top 4 guys, we've gone over before, Bobby Witt Jr., Ellie De La Cruz, Lindor, or Gunnar Henderson. If you can get one of them, absolutely do that. And then you could turn around and say, get an MI and around 85 to 120 overall and have, two of the top, say, 15 shortstops. That's a pretty good situation. I like that. I don't mind drafting two of these guys that we're going to go over, and definitely one of the top ones should be your priority for sure. You don't want to, and the reason why I say that is, long story short, you don't want to be the guy in your league who is like everyone's got one guy's got Gunnar Henderson, another guy's got Ellie, another guy's got Bobby Witt, one guy's got CJ Abrams, another guy's got Jeremy Pena. Like everyone's got good guys, and you're the one who's there who's like, let's see. I think Colson Montgomery could continue his good hitting from the end of last year. And then, you get a year where it's like he hits 25 homers and 220, and everyone else is there's people vying for the top of the scoreboard in your fantasy league, and you are not one of them. You are not doing well because everyone else is getting massive production from their shortstop position. And you're carrying, I don't know, say Xander Bogaerts or something. Like you have a lesser shortstop, say. So that sort of goes for any of the big power positions that you could get, like a first baseman, shortstop, outfield. If you can get a top guy, it's ideal because you don't want to be one of the guys who's if you do have one of the weaker shortstops, then you have to make up those extra. Like the guy who's got Ellie or Bobby Witt Jr. or Gunnar Henderson, the person in your league who has that guy, you have a lesser guy, you have to make up the difference somewhere else. And when you can't make up the difference in one of the, shortstop's one of the top positions. So if you're trying to make up the difference, you're going to be trying to make up the difference in a shallower position. And that doesn't really work usually. So I say, if you can draft a top shortstop, go for it. If you can draft two of them, well, okay. I mean, at a certain point you do need other positions, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to even get a top 15 MI, say, or a top 12 one either. But for the most part, I think shortstops in general, like what you were alluding to, they do feel a little bit weaker than we have in the last, I don't know, 5 years. Like shortstop does feel slightly weaker, not weaker than, second base, which we've already gone over. Even first base was weak. Catchers are a mess, but yeah, I would say shortstops are still a pretty good position, but not quite as good as maybe 5 to 7 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously there was a point even further back where shortstop was a terrible position. There was like 3 of them that were any good. It was like catcher, except, they'd be really good players. I will say, I think I'm more of the camp of, I don't really care what position you play early in a draft. I don't necessarily prioritize one or the other. And if you're going to give me 2 guys that I kind of project for similar numbers, I'm probably going to go with the more rare position. So if you give me, I don't know, Jose Ramirez and Corbin Carroll, we just say they're going to give you similar production. I'm probably going to go Jose Ramirez just because third base sucks and outfield is a little bit deeper. But I understand where you're coming from in that you're just dealing from a place of strength. So if you have, if the shortstop or what fall to you and that's where you're drafting, I have absolutely no problem grabbing the shortstops early either. Obviously if you get Bobby Witt, Ellie, Lindor, Gunnar, who are the first 4 that we're not going to talk about because we've previously covered, you take them and you're just happy about it because you got one of those great players and you got them assumingly at a good price or at a good ADP that you liked. Let's go ahead and jump into the first tier that we haven't covered yet, Gray. And I got to say, sometimes I do chapters for the show and I try and do them off the tiers. And I never know whether to call the first one tier 1, tier 2, tier 1A. This time, this should be tier 2 or tier 3, maybe even tier 4 after we talked about those first 4 guys on the list. It'll still be tier 1 just because it makes sense in the YouTube and in the podcast. But for all purposes, this is the first year we're talking about Gray. Number 5 is Zach Neto. Last year, he had 128 games. He had 26 home runs, 26 stolen bases. He had 82 runs, 62 RBIs. He hit 257, 319, and 474. Year project for 30 home runs, 31 stolen bases, 90, 74, and a 256 average. This is not a bad consolation prize if you miss out on the top 4, though.
No, not at all. The only real concern with Zach Neto, I think, is the fact that he plays for the Angels. that's scary, just in its own respect, for no other reason other than the fact that it's the Angels, and they feel cursed. So that's my biggest concern, is something that's completely anecdotal. That is not, it's not really something that you should be worried about, but it feels like it should. I also, I'll say that, as far as ADP goes, I'm not that far off from ADP for Zach Neto. I think he's at 30 overall. I have him around there, give or take 5 spots. But I would totally be fine with drafting him. I think last year, I wonder if last year ends up being a little bit of let's see, how do I say this? He had a excellent year in a partial year. I wonder if that ends up being a bit of a lie in retrospect, that he's not really capable of that. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to be completely, it's hard for me to completely buy into Zach Neto prorating his stats over the course of 162 games, or 155 or whatever the case is that he ends up playing. It's hard for me to take his stats from last year and they end up, prorating them out and being like, oh yeah, he's obviously 34 260 hitter. I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to say that because he's never approached that sort of power before. I have him projected for 30 homers. He had 2 years ago, he had 23. Last year is 26. I have him down for 30. I feel like that's being, relatively conservative considering what the year he just did. I mean, in 128 games, he hit 26 homers. Even if you were to take, only give him 20 extra games on that, you would assume that's, 29, 30 homers right there. But I feel like he's only 20. Well, he was 24. He's 25 now. But building off of, actually, he just turned 25. Hey, happy birthday! If he were to build off of last year, there's a case to be made that he's going to be a 32 to 35 homer guy. But I don't know. I can't make that case. I would assume someone is, but it's not me. I will say everything looks like, the Ks were up last year, but, not necessarily incredibly high. They were just under 27% K rate, and he hit 257 with a 312 BABIP. That feels kind of in line with, that feels kind of neutral for as far as average, luck neutral, that is. To me, he looks like exactly what he did last year, just with just the fact that he hasn't done anything more than that is really the only thing holding me back from being okay, well, he's a top 20 overall player and he's about to go, he's 30-30 with plus signs on both numbers. There's nothing saying he can't do that. I mean, he's capable of it, apparently, because he just sort of did it in a prorated season. But the only problem is that he hasn't done it before. But if you're getting him at 30 overall in a draft, and you get a 30-30 season, that's phenomenal value. I mean, what his numbers, I guess what I'm saying is his projections are saying he should probably be a top 20 guy. It's just he's not a top 20 guy because he just hasn't done it before. But everything looks right. Everything looks like he can continue his path on, towards a 30-30 season. And, I have Jazz Chisholm at 20 overall. And, if he repeats his season, which was 30-30 ish, he is probably like Zach Neto and Jazz Chisholm are probably like 820 AB. I mean, they're essentially the same thing if they can, if Jazz repeats and Zach Neto continues to build. But there's probably a 10 overall in overall drafts. There's probably like a 10 pick buffer just because Neto hasn't done it. So, I mean, if it's a little bit risky to go that early for a guy who, hasn't done something before and to assume he's going to do it, it's a little bit risky at, 30 overall, but, no risk, no reward, right? I mean, Zach Neto is without, he is definitely someone who could do much better than his draft pick. Now, the downside is, since we've never seen it before, what if he doesn't do it? And then you've now in the top 30, you've drafted a guy who goes, 22, 25 or something. And then it's like, yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's not terrible, but a 22 to 25 homer, 22 to 25 steal season and hitting 255 is a lot less, it's a lot less exciting than the 30-30 that I think everyone assuming and including myself thinks is going to come.
Yeah, I mean, I like Zach Neto. I think everything you said is very valid in regards to the evaluation on him, what he brings to the table. The only thing I'll add here is in regards to the power bump, he had 6 home runs in May, 9 in August. Every other month he had 2 or 3. That is not by any means definitive. You can certainly have 5 home runs a month, and that wouldn't be crazy. Something I point out with some players when they have a big month or a couple of big months, that can be hard to reproduce. We've seen it before. And with Neto in particular, he kind of sits in this realm of he hits the ball well, but he's not absolutely mashing the ball. And he's fast, but he's not a speedster. So he kind of sits in that he's really solid, but he's not elite at anything kind of group. And I feel like when you're in that, it can kind of fall off one way or the other. That being said, I do like Neto. I do think he has that kind of upside that you mentioned. He can potentially go 30-30. Playing for the Angels probably helps. In regards to the stolen bases, because why not let him run? It probably does. I mean, it does hurt him in the counting numbers. And that's probably why he wasn't higher on the player rater last year, along with missing some games. He's going inside like the top 30, definitely the top 40, Gray. That's a lot to ask, but I don't like it. I don't hate it. Everything kind of improved last year. The average exit velocity, hard hit, his launch angle went up to help the home runs. He had the best home run the fly ball by far. He actually swung the bat harder. His average bat speed and fast swing rate were both up, and he had that kind of came at the average that you mentioned. Worst swing strike rate, worst K rate, average still went up. So like I feel like he's still moving the average up despite K rate, swing and strike. So I like Zach Neto. I don't know if I'm going to pay a top 30 pick for him, Gray.
Yeah, I mean that's it, I know, because like the logical part of my brain says he's a great pick at 30 because a 30-30 season is worth at least a top 30 pick at least, and then you have another part, and then my magical part of my brain that is really dumb saying you want someone who is who has done it before, and you don't want any risk at this point, or you want someone with such insane upside that it's worth it. It's like, okay, if he's going in the top 30, so that means he's going around like, I don't know, James Wood. James Wood sexier. I like Neto, but you know what? If I'm looking at James Wood or Zach Neto, I'm like, gotta go in James Wood. I mean, it's hard not to. And if you're looking at Zach Neto and like Pete Alonso, it's like I'm shoring up my first base with some power. I'm gonna go Pete Alonso, right? If you're going Zach Neto or who else is going that spot? Manny Machado, you're like, oh, Manny Machado's only done it for the last 17 years. You're going to go with that. So yeah, it's like, it's hard because I do like Zach Neto, but it's like, there's really got to be a situation where everything aligns perfectly. And I'm like, I'm in the right state of mind and I'm like thinking logically and I'm not going, with my magical thinking. I'm like, yeah, I guess Zach Neto. I'll give him a shot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. That's kind of how it'll probably be for me, honestly. I will undoubtedly talk myself into drafting him at least in one league, and who knows, by the time I get around to full draft season, I may have him in every league. I may decide that he's, Bobby Witt minus 20 points and, well, probably like 50 points in batting average, but still, like, that's still a really, really good player. Let's just move on. I said we weren't going to talk for 45 minutes about Zach Neto. We're not going to do that, Gray. We're moving on to number 6, CJ Abrams. Last year he had 19 home runs, 31 stolen bases, 92-60. He hit 257, 315, 433. Young projected for 21 home runs, 31 stolen bases, 94, 67, and 261. All of the underlying numbers are pretty much the same. There's some little changes, both positive and negative, but essentially landing in the same place. Obviously he's still young, but it seems like at least these numbers are pretty consistent.
Yeah, no, totally. He's actually perplexing to me because, I've mentioned before how I do my own ranking and then I look at other people's projections and other people's, and ADP and all that. And, I gauge where I'm at with guys. And CJ Abrams was one where I didn't really think I was going to be as far high on him as I ended up being. Cause I kind of thought I was like, because all the projections, so the projections say, he last year he did 19 homers, 31 steals. Projections are all saying essentially the same. I mean, that's kind of who he is. 20 homers, 30 steals. Even my projections say 21 homers, 31 steals. Like there's no real big surprise here. And he's, he should be hitting probably second, if not first, in the Nationals lineup. Depends on what they do with James Wood. It's either him or Wood at the top of the lineup. So, he's going to get, either 80 runs and 70 RBIs or 90 runs and 60 RBIs, something like that. One of those two, but it would be essentially it'll be the same, just, a little bit higher in runs or a little bit higher in RBIs. So anyway, then you look at his ADP and you're like, okay, so where is that? Where's a 20, 30, 255 play every day guy? And then it's like, wow, he's a lot lower. And I feel like he's too low on ADP. Right now he's at roughly 60 overall. So that's 30 spots after Zach Neto, which is crazy. He's, 35 spots after Trea Turner, who we haven't even talked about yet. But say Trea Turner last year was, I think it was 1532 or something. So 1532 versus 2030. And you have a guy who is, roughly 10 years younger in CJ Abrams. Like, how is that almost 40 spots? So, with all that factored in, what we were saying about Zach Neto, it would be really hard for me not to see myself taking CJ Abrams in a bunch of leagues. Like, he feels like he is tailor-made to be drafting right now. Like, he is 20, 30, 260 CJ Abrams. That, with everyday playing time, so the runs and RBIs that come with that, that's a top 25 player. There's no reason why he should be going at 60 overall in drafts. So, yeah, I'm all in on CJ Abrams. I see no reason not to be. Like, he's totally young enough. He's 25. He just turned 25. He's young enough to still be stealing bags. And as we've said so many times before, just because he's got 30 steal speed, that doesn't mean he could steal 45 bags easily. I mean, there's no reason why. He's got the wind of Josh Naylor under his wings. Just go forth and steal bases. And he's also, I think he's surprising with power, whereas like he's got 18 homers 2023, 20 homers the next year, then 19 homers last year. So it's not like he's a fluky 20 homer guy. Like, he's a 20 homer guy. That's what he is. 20 homers with 30 steals with the potential for 45 steals, hitting 255. He sounds good to me, man. I like CJ Abrams a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I had him above ADP last year. I didn't quite understand it, and I think we're both going to be sitting there this year wondering what's going on and why we own him everywhere. Like, Wyatt Langford goes a full round ahead of him, Gray. Like, why? Could anybody explain to me why Wyatt Langford goes a full round?
That's a good comp, because Wyatt Langford, as far as we know, is a 2020 250 hitter. CJ Abrams is a 2030 250 hitter. So immediately he's got at least 10 more steals. I mean, just on the baseline, that's like worst case scenario for both players. They're essentially the same, except CJ Abrams has more speed. So why would CJ Abrams be even like in the same breath as Wyatt Langford on ADP?
Yeah, and he's below him. So again, I don't understand it. We are going to own some CJ Abrams shares, Gray, and if your strategy works and you end up with one of those top guys and then CJ Abrams, that's going to be a very, very solid start to a team. Let's move on to the next tier here. Number 7, Trea Turner himself, Trea Turner. Last year had 15 home runs, 36 stolen bases, 94, 69. He hit 304, 355, and 457. You have him project for 16 home runs, 25 stolen bases, 86, 61, and a 291 average. We have seen 3 years of power decline from him. Average bat speed's down a little. Fast swing rate is actually up a little, which is weird. But he's still the fastest sprint speed in the league at 32, which is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. I didn't realize that. At this point, I feel like Trea Turner is who he is until we see different. And if there's any difference, it's basically less of everything. So you're hoping for the same, or you're going to get a little bit less. Essentially, I think is Trea Turner's deal at this point. So do you want to draft the same or a guy who could give you a little bit less? I mean, maybe in some scenarios. I don't know. I feel like I'm not as against Trea Turner as I am until I look at his ADP. And then when like I said before, during my CJ Abrams rant, I mean, Trea Turner's ADP is at 25 overall. So there's no way I'm getting Trea Turner. Obviously, I have him behind Zach Neto and CJ Abrams. So I'm not personally drafting him if ADP stays the way it is right now, according to NFBC. And that's also, that's specific to, I have it set for a 15-team mixed league. So, maybe in a Yahoo or an ESPN league, Trea Turner will be behind the two guys I mentioned, and it will be more in line with my rankings. I kind of doubt it because, they're a little bit more mass audience. So I would assume that Trea Turner is going to be even higher for them. With all that said, I don't mind Trea Turner. I just don't see myself drafting him because of ADP. Like to me, he's like a good bet for, say 15 homers and 25 steals. And then you may get extra steals because, he feels like running. There's, there's really no. I mean, I can't see a rhyme or reason with his steals at this point. In looking at his stats, I mean, 1 year 27 steals, next year it's 30, then it's 19, then it's 36. The problem with guys who are aging and steals is, one little nagging injury, like he gets a little bit of a hammy injury and he doesn't run for 6 weeks during the season. Like he still plays but doesn't run, so that hurts his overall line with steals. So I mean, it could, or I mean, he does hit for a good average. Like it's hard for me to get worked up against him, but I don't like his ADP, so I'm not personally going to be drafting him.
Yeah, I don't mind him at all. I think if you're going to lose anything, it's probably not from the speed side. It's probably the power side. We've seen that decline, like I said, the last 3 years. In 2023, it was 26. Then it was 21, and then last year it was 15. I mean, he had 21 in less games than he had 15 last year. So the power, I think, is gone or is leaving. The average may go with that at some point. For now, I think the speed is fine. But your point about, injuries coming easier to older players is certainly valid. I wouldn't necessarily project that for him, but it's definitely a legitimate concern. And since you mentioned it, I'm just going to ask you about it, Gray. When you're in a draft, you see Trea Turner ADP, you see what, Zach Neto, CJ Abrams ADP is. You're sitting in the draft room, you're sitting at, we'll say, 30. Would you wait and then take Zach Neto or CJ Abrams? Or would you potentially take Trea Turner, knowing you can then swing around and get Neto and Abrams? Or would you just take Neto and Abrams? What's your thoughts in regards to like ADP versus your rankings? Obviously, we sit in some different draft rooms, so it's a little bit harder when everybody creates their own rankings. But what are your general thoughts on that?
I usually, I'm fine going around early on a guy who I really want. So it's like Trea Turner is going to go off the board before I'm going to draft him. So I won't be taking Trea Turner at 25, and then at some point Neto is going to go off the board, and at that point is when I'm going to get like activated. Like my eyes are going to get wide and my retinas are going to zoom in or pupils are going to zoom out or whatever eyes do. And then I'm going to be like, okay, I have to take CJ Abrams because I don't want Betts. And then and then you fall into another whole tier where you're looking at like Perdomo, Pena, and Bichette. So it's like I would then reach a little bit for CJ Abrams at like, so say all things being equal, say Trea Turner goes off at 25 and Zach Neto goes off at 30 per their ADP. So then Betts and Abrams are sitting there on the board at 32, say. I'm taking CJ Abrams before Betts even goes off the board because I don't want Betts and I absolutely want CJ Abrams.
All right, let's move on to number 8, which is Mookie Betts. Last year, he had 20 home runs, 8 stolen bases, 95-82. He hit 258, 326, and 406. Young projected for 18 home runs, 8 stolen bases, 85, 71, and a 254 average. His average exit velocity, hard hit, barrel rate, all down. Launch angle was lower. Home run to fly ball was tied for the worst of his career. The average bat speed actually stayed the same, but the fast swing rate continued to drop down more than half from his 2023 season. Gray, I'm surprised you even have him this far. I am burying Mookie Betts in my rankings. People are going to be just appalled by where I have him, I think, when I release my rankings eventually here.
Mookie Betts or Matt McClain? Who do you want?
At ADP, I'll take Matt McClain all day. If you're going to give me him at 200, yes, I'll take Mookie Betts. But
oh, by the way, also breaking news: did you see Eugenio Suarez got signed by the Reds? They have such they love cornermen. I mean, the Reds. Absolutely, the Reds will develop cornermen and then they'll trade and sign new ones. They're like clients for cornermen.
I saw he was the last Red to hit 30 home runs, and now he's going back. So now he can be the next Red that did it after he was the last one. That's always interesting when a player gets traded and comes back later.
Right? Yeah. I guess we'll we'll talk about him in the third base podcast. Tune in later in the week, huh?
Yeah. Can we? I mean, real quick. I'm just going to completely derail us. Can you believe the Padres traded Abrams, James Wood, and Mackenzie Gore for a rental, a year and a half rental of Juan Soto? That's that is a lot to give up in a single trade for a year and a half and not re-sign him. That's some crazy.
Yeah, and that trade tree is still growing because Mackenzie Gore just got shipped out. Yeah, so now there's like an extra 3 or 4 guys on that list of who the Nationals got for Soto.
And Abrams has been talked about as trade bait too. So could be even more.
And Juan Soto is in my the only song I know by Bad Bunny. He mentioned Juan Soto.
Get ready.
Getting ready for the Super Bowl. Okay, so let's see. Mookie Betts, right? So I feel like I might be too high on him while also not wanting him. It's like I said just before when I talked about ADP and how I do my rankings in a little bit of a bubble, and then I looked to see what other people have done, and then I looked at Mookie Betts and I was like, wow, I thought I was down on him. People really hate him. I mean, I'm probably close to ADP on Mookie Betts, but I thought I was going to be way below. Like I expected to be like a good 20 to 30 spots lower on Mookie Betts than ADP, but apparently I'm right in line with it. He's at 55 on ADP, and I have him roughly around there in my overall. So what does that mean? So that's a situation where I'm not drafting him because at 55 overall, I'm going to be taking my first pitcher. So I'm not drafting Mookie Betts. So I get a get out of jail free card with where I but I kind of didn't mean to rank him that high or in an area where, it's realistic that I could possibly get him because I don't want him. I mean, everything you mentioned, I totally agree with. Like, it's you didn't really mention opinions. You said facts, so it's hard not to agree. Like everything, hard hit down, average EV down, barrel rate down, lower launch angle, a homer per fly ball tied to his career worst. It's not good, man. Like everything's not good. And then you throw in the fact that he stopped running. So and that's like going back like 5 years. I mean, it's like he hasn't had a 30 steal season. Actually, since 2018, he hasn't had a 30 steal season. So like he is now at best a 12 to 15 steal guy. More than likely, he's 8 to 12 steal guy. So 8 steals. I mean, you get a good year from Jake Berger, you might get 8 steals. I mean, he's not Mookie Betts isn't running at all, essentially. So, and even more concerning, I think, is the fact that his strikeout rate is at 10.3%, and his BABIP was 258. That's awful, man. I mean, and that's not like bad luck. That's bad news. That's really bad. Like his hard hit percentage down to 32%, and his fly balls are up to 46.1%. Like you can't think of a worse bad ball profile. That is not good at all. So yeah, I'm totally out on Mookie Betts. I probably should have had him even lower, but I was like, I don't know. I figured I had him low enough, to be honest. So that's where I ranked him. But yeah, I mean, 100 runs, 75 to 85 RBIs, like that stuff does have value. So will he be a 100% bust? Well, I mean, I guess the possibility is on the table, but if he has if he stays on the field for 150 games and has, 650 plate appearances and gets 95 runs and 85 RBIs and hits 20 homers and steals 7 bags, that all has value. I mean, it's not like the worst possible scenario for a player. Like, it's not the worst possible stat line for a player, but it's not what, maybe people were, at one point, what we were expecting from Mookie Betts, and maybe what people still, potentially, maybe people are still thinking of a bounce back or something, but I would not expect a bounce back. I would hope to get exactly what I got last year if I were drafting him.
Yeah. Over the last 2 weeks, Gray, Mookie Betts' lowest, or I guess highest draft cost in NFBC was 81. I'm not touching him at 81. Like, even at his lowest draft cost in NFBC, I have no desire for him at all. Like, he should go after 100 in the most optimistic look. Like, he is Alex Bregman, who goes 111, or Teoscar Hernandez, who goes like 140, and he's going like inside the top 50. Somebody needs to sit me down and explain to me how Mookie Betts is a top 50 player. Last year, he was 94th on the player rater, and that's, I assume, like, everything except for maybe average is coming down again. Like, I have no desire for Mookie Betts on my roster. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he has another random, like, career year because it's Mookie Betts and he's a phenomenal athlete, but I just do not see it.
Yeah. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I would assume playing shortstop has hurt his hitting. If you were to look at his stat lines for outfield versus shortstop, I'm sure he's probably better as a hitter as outfield. It's it might also be a little bit misleading because when he played outfield, he was 2 years younger, so he had better stats. But still, I mean, it might be taking a wear and tear on his body playing shortstop versus sitting in right field and doing nothing.
Yeah, it could be. It definitely could be. I mean, it could be all of that. It could all be factoring in. But yeah, I don't want any of Mookie Betts at his current draft cost. And if anybody can explain to me in the comments or wherever why he's going as high as he is, I would love to hear that from somebody who believes that cost is correct. Next tier, Gray, number 9, Michael Garcia, who we talked about in the Second Baseman podcast. Number 10, Geraldo Perdomo. Last year had 20 home runs, 27 stolen bases, 98, 100, 290, 389, and 462. Young projected for 12 home runs, 21 stolen bases, 91, 70, and 282 average. The Statcast data was better for him, but not overly impressive still. He did almost double his home run to fly ball. That was his best strikeout rate, his best walk rate. The bat tracking shows he did swing harder from both sides of the plate. So there was some positive signs for Perdomo. But what are your thoughts here?
I just realized something that Perdomo, actually there's a case to be made that like Perdomo is basically what, well, I mean, the power's a little bit low. I was in a comp him to Zach Neto, who is going, like we've been talking about, Zach Neto's going at like 25 to 30 overall, and Perdomo's going like, 75 to 100 overall. So the power is definitely lower on Perdomo, but I mean, he just stole more bags than Neto. He's definitely a better bet for batting average, like, dramatically. I think Perdomo neutrally is roughly, I would say, a 280 hitter. And Neto is, 255, as we were talking about. So really the only difference, so you have same amount of speed, possibly. I mean, it's hard to say, but Perdomo just did steal more bags, but say same amount of speed, 30 points in average. And then you have the homers. It's like homers. Where's the homers going to be for Perdomo versus Neto? Perdomo probably lower. I mean, he just hit 20 homers. All the projections are saying he's about to hit less. Even mine, by the way. I mean, I'm low man on him for sure. So if he were to hit 20 homers again and Neto hits 25, Perdomo's a good deal. I mean, it's like, I'm making the case for Perdomo to be a good deal. Like it's possible. I'm not like, completely sold on his power or his speed. I am on his average. Like I think Perdomo is a good hitter. Like last year he had 11.5 strikeout rate, 303 BABIP, and a 290 average. Like I mentioned, he's probably a 280 hitter. His BABIP might be a little bit lower than 303, just on norm, just neutrally. So I mean, Perdomo, I feel like is going to be a case where it's like it's sort of a game time decision in drafts where like he's at a decent spot in drafts, 75 to 100, like I mentioned. So if he's going there and you're looking for an MI and you're like, well, I could really use a little bit of speed and good average and possible like 15 to 20 homer power, I mean, Perdomo fits that bill. It's not, I mean, and it's not a terrible stat line for a guy. Like as long as he stays healthy, which he did last year, 161 games played, he's going to hit leadoff in front of Ketel Marte. So yeah, I mean, Perdomo could be like a steal in drafts potentially. It's hard to say, which Perdomo we're going to get because the 20 homers last year were a complete outlier to his previous seasons. I mean, he's never even come close to this, even though he's sort of always had this launch angle. So that, that leads me to believe that he was a little bit lucky on power, which is why I have him, I have him projected to hit 12 homers this year. So everything, it looks like he looks like he's probably a 12 to 15 homer guy. But I mean, he just hit 20 homers. So yeah, I mean, he's an interesting case where I could see drafting him where I'm not like but it's probably going to be a team decision if I need average and runs and RBIs. Well, not RBIs, but runs for sure. And then a little bit of speed. So I don't hate him. He's an MI though. Hopefully at this point, and this is even still 75 to 100. Hopefully, I've already drafted a shortstop, and I'm looking at Perdomo as a potential MI. That's ideally that's where I want to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two schools of thought here on Perdomo. Either what he did last year was legitimate, and he's actually has room to build on it because, again, he swung harder, he hit the ball harder, everything moved in that direction, or he's this be an outlier season, and it's gonna come back down to kind of what he was, which was not really a 20 home run hitter, is more in the 10 to 15 range, and that even may be a little generous. It's hard to say when you see these kind of outlier seasons because they can go either way, to be completely honest. I'm fine with him. I think there's definitely some upside. Like I said, if you need average, you need counting numbers, I think he's fine. The speed is not amazing. Like he's not slow, but he's not fast. I really don't. I know he stole bases, 27 last year. That seems like the high end of what he's going to do with his speed. In general, it's kind of just a bet on what he did versus what all the numbers are telling us, which is why he's down here and not up in the, Zach Neto, CJ Abrams tier. But there's definitely upside here if he continues to build on it. And he's only 25. So it's not like, or 26, sorry. It's not like he can't continue to grow on it.
Problem, and also I think the big problem is like he just had arguably a career year. I say arguably because we don't know what he's capable of. Maybe he continues to progress and get better and better. But the problem, what I think is like you look at his numbers and you're like, well, if those are the career year numbers, everything else it's like going to come down from there. And like if your ceiling is 20/27, where are we going from there? Like if we're coming down from that, are we, it's like 15, 280, and then he has a little bit of an off year, and suddenly we're dealing with a 10 homer, 12 steal, 265 hitter, and it's like, oh my god, did I just draft? Who is that? Why is that guy on my team? I don't want that. So it's a little bit frightening. Whereas, like, we haven't really. I don't know if we've had that yet in this position where we've heard that. Maybe Mookie Betts to a certain extent, but I mean, he's never really, like, Mookie Betts still is probably safer than all that. But for the most part, we haven't had like the worst case scenario like is awful. Like, I feel like Perdomo has in his profile, he has like a worst case scenario would be really tough to roster.
Like 8-15 to 70 is not what you're looking for in a top 100 player.
No.
Certainly upside. We saw it last year, but it is a gamble. It depends on your league, depends where your team is.
Yeah. Go ahead. I was gonna
say, if he goes at the back end of his ADP, which is like 115, I feel like that's fine. I'm fine with that. I've seen him go inside the top 50, and at that cost, no chance.
And the funny thing is, like, out of all the guys we've talked about on the show, he easily had the best season last year. like on the player rater, he was top 20 overall. He was the third best shortstop, right behind Bobby Witt Jr. and Lindor. Like, he was really good last year.
He was. And if he does it again, you might win your league. But if he drops back to Geraldo Perdomo, who we've seen before, it's gonna suck. It's really gonna hurt. The good news is, hopefully, it's your middle infielder, and you can kind of pivot from that position and find somebody else. Up next is number 11, Jeremy Pena. Last year in 125 games, he had 17 home runs, 20 stolen bases, 68, 62. He hit 304, 363, and 477. You're projected for 18 home runs, 20 stolen bases, 84, 64, and a 273 average. Little improvements across the board. Average exit velocity, hard hit. The launch angle was up. Home run, the fly ball was up. Swing and strike did go up a little bit, but the strikeout rate stayed the same, and the average was actually better. So I really like Jeremy Pena. He pretty much did what we want him to last year, and he did it in only 125 games. I will gladly take him over Mookie and even over Perdomo in my rankings, and his ADP is almost double Mookie's, or more than double Mookie's, actually.
Yeah, no, he's a steal in ADP. Jeremy Pena is going like between 95 and 125 on average. He's like, he's definitely a guy who I will absolutely be drafting Jeremy Pena as well if I can get him in that range. I like him a lot. I think here's like a good comp. I think is like what Perdomo just did. Jeremy Pena is capable of that. It's just a matter of getting like a good counting stats here. If he can stay on the field, because he's going to hit leadoff in front of Yordan, Altuve, and Carrera, and Christian Walker. Now, I know a few of those guys had bad years, and you don't know where Altuve's career is headed. He's getting older, and Carrera is, who he is, and Christian Walker struggled. But there is a scenario where those guys are pounding the ball, and Jeremy Pena is in front of them, getting every pitch to hit, every opportunity to be driven in on the base paths, stealing bags. Like, you can, and he's neutrally, Jeremy Pena is a good hitter. Like, I think it's it gets lost sometimes, but he's like neutrally a 275 hitter. If he's pounding the ball, getting good pitches to hit, Yordan Alvarez bounces back, who's hitting behind him. If Pena or Altuve is behind him, and if they're all pounding the ball and Pena's getting pitches to hit, and he hits 300 again, and you compare and you put that with his 17 to 20 homer power, 20 steal speed, he goes 20-20, 290 with in 155 games. he's gonna be basically what Perdomo just did last year, and he's gonna be a top 25 overall player. Pena, that is. So yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, I am too. I'm happy to take him at ADP or even in front of it. Very, very much like what Pena can bring you. Number 12, which starts a new tier for you, is Corey Seager. Last year in 102 games, he had 21 home runs, 3 stolen bases, 6150. He hit 271, 373, and 487. You have him projected for 27 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 74, 81, and 273. He's always been a great hitter, Gray. You just really can't expect 150 from him. Everything seems great. The average bat speed, fast swing rate are actually up in his age 31 season. You're just you're playing a game on whether he can stay healthy or not.
Yeah, I just had a vision, like I was a Miss Cleo from the Psychic Friends Network, and I just had a vision where it was the middle of March, and Corey Seager just pulled his hamstring and is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. And he's gonna miss opening day. That's I feel like we will have at least a 75% chance of that happening. I would say at least. Corey Seager is like, this whole tier is like, I don't know what to expect here. We'll get to it more with the next couple guys, but I really have I don't know, with Corey Seager, you said it all. It's like, yeah, he can hit. He's a good hitter. He will, give you power and decent average and counting stats. No real speed. But it's like, how many games can you expect? How many at-bats are you going to expect? If you get, if you were a time traveler and you came back from October and you said Corey Seager just gave me 600 plate appearances, he would be a top 25 hitter. I'd also ask you, why are you coming back with such nonsense? Why are you time traveling to tell me that? Tell me something better, man. But yeah, I think you give him 600 plate appearances and he's a top 25 hitter. If you give him, I don't know, his usual, 350 to 400 play, or at bats, I guess. If you give him 400 at bats, then he's a 24 homer, 25 homer, maybe if he really gets into it. He's good per game, but he just doesn't stay on the field enough. So yeah, I don't mind it in a shallower league. If you get those, you bank those 400 to 450 at bats, and then you just replace them with the guy off of waivers. That could be valuable enough. But I think at this point, it's you hope to get 450, 475 at bats. And, if you get 300, you just shrug and you're like, oh, well, it's the usual.
Yeah. In a shallow league, I'd happily bump them up 10, 15, maybe even 20 picks. But yeah, in a normal league or a deeper league, it's just hard to replace him. So you kind of have to plan that into your draft. If you're your middle infielder, maybe there's a little bit more room to work with and you can grab another one later. But that's just the Corey Seager, play, is you're just hoping he can get 500 plate appearances. And if he does, you're pretty happy. Next up, number 13, Trevor Story. The confusing tier continues. Last year, 25 home runs, 31 stolen bases, 91, 96. He hit 263, 308, 433. Young Jack 17 home runs, 20 stolen bases, 68, 71, and hitting 254 and 434 at bats. Games played by year, Gray, 157 last year, 26, 43, 94. And he is going to be 33 years old. I said it last year. Trevor Story stays healthy. He's probably going to be fine, and he'll put up a great season, and it will be on somebody else's roster. Same thing here.
Yeah, no, completely. He's basically Corey Seager plus 25 to 30 steals minus 25% chance of staying healthy. whatever that comes out to. That's Trevor's Story. I don't. Yeah, I mean, again, like, the tier is like, it's confounding, this entire tier. I mean, who knows what you're going to get when you draft Trevor Story. I think if you, again, it's like if you were to say, like, last year, if you were to say, like, oh, I know for a fact that he's going to give me 600 at bats, I would have been like, okay, I would draft Trevor Story in that scenario. I mean, if you can guarantee me 600 at bats, absolutely. I mean, are you sure he's going to do? He's even a little bit like less reliable than Corey Seager, if you can imagine, because it's like he's a type that, like, you could get less than 50 at bats. I mean, well, less than 100. I mean, he's had a few seasons now where he hasn't been able, like 4 of the last 6 seasons. Oh no, actually 3 of the last 5 seasons, he's had under 100 games played. And a couple of those seasons is like 158 at bats one year, 94 at bats another year. I mean, there's, it's not like you can totally predict injuries, but trusting Trevor Story to stay healthy, I mean, I think that's, that's why he's going at his ADP, which is, way after some guys who he eclipsed in value last year. Like, his ADP right now is 105 overall. There's quite a few players we've already talked about where he was much better than them last year. With his, 25-30 season or 25-31 season. But you just can't trust it to happen again. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to be a hard one. I just don't see myself drafting him necessarily. I think I have him later than his ADP. And I mean, my concerns, it's like he's just so unreliable. I wish I could, because, like, there's going to be someone's going to draft, like, Corey Seager and Trevor Story back to back, and if they get like 2 great seasons out of them, they're going to be doing really well in their league, because those guys they can be really valuable, but it's just so hard to trust.
It is. It's just really hard to figure out what you're going to get. Next up, grade number 14, our favorite, your favorite, the former number 1 player in all of baseball, Bo Bichette. Last year had 18 home runs, 4 stolen bases, 78-94. He hit 311, 357, and 483. You haven't projected for 17 home runs, 5 stolen bases, 79, 81, and a 291 average. Changing parks, the park factor may be a slight downgrade. Savant's park translator says he would have hit 15 home runs last year. The numbers in general looked fine, though, compared to what they have. At least they looked fine compared to 2024, still down from the 21 and 22 seasons that were his best seasons. Unfortunately, the average bat speed and fast swing rate were both down, and the fast swing rate was down a pretty significant amount. I don't know if this is, anything that the listeners need to be told, but I'm not going to be drafting Bo Bichette this year.
Really? You mean his signing with the New York Mets isn't instilling in you confidence?
Yep, the retooled Mets with Marcus Semien, Jorge Polanco, and Bo Bichette, 3 guys who I just do not like in general for fantasies, and then you add them all on one team. Yeah, that's.
Did you mention Louis Robert? I think Bobish. Yeah, the Mets have like a 1% chance of doing well. No, I mean, some of their guys. I like
2018 again, Gray. That could happen. We could be in 2018. It could happen.
I think Bo Bichette. I mean, I know no one's ever gone to the Mets and disappointed. So I think Bo Bichette, his landing spot is probably a good spot for him, for both of us to ignore him. It was like, if he went to the Rockies, it would have been really difficult for me to be like, oh, I can't get in on that. But yeah, I don't know. The fact that they, I don't know if this is going to end up being the case, but the fact that I'm seeing a lineup with him hitting third, like what? It's ridiculous. They have Juan Soto and Lindor, and then Bo Bichette. Excuse me, it would be Lindor, Soto, then Bo Bichette. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe he does hit third. The biggest, probably, if we're being realistic, probably the biggest problem with Bo Bichette is the fact that he doesn't steal any bags, because like he does, I mean, he should hit for a good average. Like his, like neutrally, he is a good hitter for average, and he's got 20 homer pop. But if you put, 20 homers, 5 steals, and 285, you put those together, and it's like, it's okay. But, it's kind of like what I was saying for Perdomo. You get a bad year, and that becomes a 16 homer, 5 steal, 260 season. That's awful. I mean, it's terrible. So it's like there's really no room to play with if he's not going to steal any bags, and he hasn't stolen bags in a while. And I don't see him. I don't see the Mets necessarily. Having him steal there. I'd be surprised. I mean, Juan Soto just stole a ton of bags, but who knows? But the Mets just signed him to a big deal. Like, if he is really hitting third, I really don't see him stealing a bunch of bags. But yeah, I mean, if he went 2020, 280, that's a good year. I mean, that's a valuable year. Unfortunately, I mean, there's just no way you could project him for that many steals. Like, he looks like a 5 steal guy, and 5 steals with, between 16 to 20 homer power, it's tough to get fully invested in that. And then you throw in the Mets, which is terrible park, a team that's been cursed since, Satan pushed the ball between Buckner's legs. A team that's been cursed for 40 years now. I don't know, man. I don't see myself drafting Bichette either, unfortunately, I guess, or maybe fortunately.
It's not unfortunate, Greg. We're going to be perfectly fine without it. I promise we'll be okay. Even last year, we missed out on a 61st season, Gray. He was drafted, like 80? I mean, I'm okay. I'm okay with missing out on a little bit of a bump in his, because he hit for 311 and randomly had 94 RBIs. Like, I don't care. That's fine. Moving parks, moving leagues, doesn't hit the ball hard, is so slow, Gray. Here's a list of players he's slower than on the sprint speed list, Gray. Let's go. Austin Wells, James McCann, Travis d'Arnaud, Ivan Herrera, Kyle Farmer, Yohan Moncada, who I forget even plays baseball still, Christian Walker, Yordan Alvarez, who was hurt, still registered a sprint speed faster than Bo Bichette, William Contreras. Like,
it's a weird thing is when I tried to picture Juan Moncada running, I pictured him falling onto his side and then rolling real fast.
Maybe he just has a little panda in him. He's a better roller than a runner, Gray. That's okay. Bichette, unfortunately, is not good at either, and he's so slow.
The problem, I feel like he's slow on his feet, and he also is not very fast if he tries to roll. So there's nothing. You can't do anything there.
He's too skinny to roll, Gray. You can't roll like that. That's not how rolling works.
Exactly. That's what I feel like. I should be the base running coach, because I just tell him flat out, you're too skinny to roll.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's pretty bad, Gray. And again, I will not own Bo Bichette. I don't understand why he goes inside the top 100. you're getting average and maybe counting stats, and even that may be a little funky this season with the new team, new ballpark, new league, the team being the Mets. I'm just out again. Surprise for everybody. Next up is number 15, Willie Adames. Last year had 30 home runs, 12 stolen bases, 94, 87. He hit 225, 318, 421. You have projected for 30 home runs, 12 stolen bases, 86, 90, and 229. He had some slight improvements across the board, at least compared to his 2024. With the move from Milwaukee to San Francisco, the power numbers were actually fine, but the average kind of bottomed out, and the Giants don't run, so it was not quite as productive, but still helped.
Yeah, the Giants don't run much, and Willie Adames still had 12 steals versus Bo Bichette's 5. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Willie Adames is like a speedster either.
He's much faster than Bo Bichette.
He is, yeah, absolutely. He's faster than he doesn't need to roll. He's rollless. I think Willie Adames, the fact that he had back-to-back years of 160 games played really helps a lot in his fantasy value. Banking on that's a little bit difficult, but I mean, if you get a ton of plate appearances and the runs and RBIs that come with that, he's only going to be he's not only going to be so bad. I think, his strikeout rate and his insane fly balls give you a 225 hitter, more or less. I mean, 225 to 233, maybe somewhere in that range. I mean, he's probably not a 250 hitter as he was with the Brewers. Probably not going to see that without a ton of BABIP luck. He had some BABIP luck in 2024 and why he hit 251. So, if you're looking at a guy who's, he's kind of a team build, fantasy team build type where if you can handle the average hit and, a guy who's going to have, who's going to hit 225 in 160 games, so really dragging down your average. But if you need, 30 homers and 10-ish steals, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's not really my type of guy. Usually I don't draft Willie Adames a ton because I don't really like that drag on average that he does. But yeah, I mean, it looks like he is kind of like he's at least he's proven that in the new park, he was able to continue to hit for power, which is a good sign. At some point, that's going to bottom out, but the Giants only have him for what, another 6 years or something. The Giant Willie Adames and Xander Bogaerts are going to be the only guys left in the league. At some point, they're going to be like in their 40s still playing shortstop. Okay, yeah. So Willie Adames, okay for power, not good for average.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Gray. We're just going to keep it moving as we are already running a little bit longer than I had hoped we would be at this point. But hey, this is what we do, Gray. Number 16, Dansby Swanson. Last year had 24 home runs, 20 stolen bases, 84, 77. He hit 244, 300, and 417. Young projected for 21 home runs, 15 stolen bases, 76, 72, and hitting 243. He had his career best average exit velocity, hard hit, and barrel rate. Home run to fly ball is in the same range as his career bests. And all that said, his average bat speed and fast swing rate were both down a little bit. So where are you at on Dansby Swanson?
Yeah, he's a little bit of his numbers, like his power stays relatively the same, somewhere between 22 and 25 homers, more or less over the last couple of years, after the last 4 years, that is. His steals, come and go a little bit. Like there was 1 year where he stole only 9 bags, but he's stolen 18, 19, and 20 the other 3 years. And his average stays relatively close to 244. So I guess what I'm saying is he's if he goes 24, if he hits 24 homers, steals 20 bags, and hits 244 ish, with all the counting stats that come with that. So, roughly 80 runs and 80 RBIs, because he'll be in the between the 6th and 7th spot of the order, I would guess, somewhere in that range. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of okay. I mean, he doesn't really I don't see the upside necessarily, but for the last 4 years, he's kind of done what he's done. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't really super high on him, I think, while doing the rankings, but his ADP is at 145, a 2020 244 player at 143 overall. That sounds like fairly decent value. I guess I don't mind Dansby Swanson as much as I thought maybe I was going to. I think there is a chance I could end up drafting him, right? And on the player rater last year, he was 86th overall. So inside, considerably inside the top 100 overall, and he's going, around 140, 150 overall. So yeah, there's some value there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind him at all. If you're in this section and you're just panicking because you've missed out on everything, I would actually rather have Dansby than Adames if we're just in the vacuum, but they are kind of team build guys. Like if you need the power speed, you're going Dansby. If you just need the power, you're going Adames, and he probably comes with a little bit better counting numbers as well. Up next is a new tier. Number 17 is Jackson Holliday. Number 18 is Xavier Edwards. We've talked about them on the Second Baseman podcast. Number 19 is Jacob Wilson. Last year it had 125 games, 13 home runs, 5 stolen bases, 62-63. He hit 311. You have him projected for 50 home runs, 6 stolen bases, 71-68 in a 304 average. He doesn't strike out. He also does not walk. And I think I could hit foam balls and get better Statcast data than him, Gray. I don't really foresee me owning a lot of Jacob Wilson this year.
I just saw when you were saying that, I just scrolled down. I saw that he had a under 20% hard hit rate. Oh man. I don't know. I wonder what exactly is he doing? Is he using one of those foam bats? I could see, because if he's using a foam bat, I can understand why he's hitting the ball so softly.
Does he bunt every single time up? That would make some sense. I don't know. You might barrel more than 2% if you bunt it every time. Maybe, I don't know.
I'm actually surprised. I just looked at his splits. I'm surprised he actually had 6 homers in away games. I figured it was all going to be in home. Yeah, it was all bing bong home stadium balls. I don't know. I mean, Jacob Wilson is he feels a little bit like Luis Arraez kind of. It's like a batting average play. Now that we talk about the hard hit, it's a little concerning because if he can't hit the ball hard, is he really going to continue to hit for a good average? I mean, I don't know. So far, so good, I guess. If you have Willy Adames and at shortstop, and it's, I'm talking the deep league at this point, but if you got, taken early by, and everyone got off the board before you were able to draft someone, and you ended up with Willy Adames as your shortstop, and then you turn around and take Jacob Wilson as your MI, at least you've balanced your average a little bit. I think Jacob Wilson's more of a team build guy. If you need average, then you go with Jacob Wilson. Otherwise, there's not a ton there. I probably like him a bit more than I like him a bit more in deeper leagues where it's not so if a guy's going 2 for 4 with 0 runs, 0 RBIs, 0 homers, 0 steals. If he's just going 2 for 4 every day and hitting for a good average and giving you nothing else, it's a little bit easier to swallow in a deep league where you're just not really paying attention to that specific spot in your lineup. Jacob Wilson as an MI in an AL only league, that's, I mean, that's the kind of guy where it's like, that's good value. That's great. Actually, as a shortstop, he's good for an AL only. In a 15 team mixed league, also decent. In a 15 team mixed league, you need average. Sure. Go for it. The problem is, I think Jacob Wilson in like a 12 team mixed league and it's a daily league, like an RCL, where there's a lot of waiver wire a lot of waiver wire guys who you could pick up. You look at Jacob Wilson going 2 for 4, and then you see the random Colt Keith homer on waivers, and you're like, oh no, Colt Keith's getting hot, man. I don't know if I can hold on to Jacob Wilson much longer. But yeah, I mean, that's just the problem with like a 12-team mixed league. It's the problem when you have a guy who doesn't homer or steal much. Like, it's hard to hold those batting average guys in a shallower league because, everything, you're seeing jackpot when you see a homer on waivers and you're like, Jacob Wilson's not doing anything for me.
He's not going to hit me a homer. That's for damn sure. Yeah, Gray, I'm just out on Jacob Wilson. As we mentioned, the batted ball is embarrassingly weak. On top of that, he hits a just ridiculous amount of ground balls, and he's not fast. Like, usually on these guys that hit for average but not power, like, they either have speed, they hit the ball, they square up the ball well, even if they don't hit it necessarily hard. Like, I don't know where the average actually comes from other than him not striking out. And I don't really want to bet on that inside the top 200. After the top 200, like 230, fine. I just feel like it is at best an empty average. And that's kind of at best. I'm just going to bring him up. I would take my boy Matt McClain over him all day, every day, and not even worry about it. I don't care about my team build. I'm just going to do that because honestly, I think there's a non-zero chance Jacob Wilson hits for a worse average than Matt McClain. Just he hits the ball so weak, right?
There's a non-zero chance Bidon secretly works for the Reds.
I don't, Greg, because Matt McClain would be leading off every single day. He would never have been benched. We know I'm not involved with the Reds organization. Maybe the marketing team. If we're looking at it. Number 20, Gray, is Colson Montgomery. Last year had 21 home runs. He had 43 runs, 55 RBIs. He hit 239, 311, 529. Young projected for 28 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 64, 77, and a 219 average. The K rate was high, and he struggled with Ks at AAA in his short stint there, but really didn't struggle with them before, so there's potential that improves. And, on the plus side, Gray, if we just look at average bat speed and fast swing rate, he's pretty much in line with Aaron Judge.
He's basically Aaron Judge.
He's basically Aaron Judge if he could hit the ball. If he hit the ball, Gray, if he could put the bat on the ball, basically Aaron Judge.
For people out there who are familiar with Vincent Adultman from the BoJack Horseman cartoon, we'll say that if Colson Montgomery was in a trench coat and he was sitting on Aaron Judge's shoulders, Colson Montgomery still wouldn't be Aaron Judge. still would not. There's no chance Colson Montgomery is Aaron Judge. But in this one scenario, he is Aaron Judge.
In these 2 stats that I have cherry-picked, Gray, he is absolutely right there.
Cherry picking with Gray and Bidon. Yeah, I mean, Colson Montgomery could surprise some people because, like, he did hit 239 last year with 21 homers in a half a season. I mean, he did do that. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like, maybe he can do it. Like, I would guess the Eugenio Suarez signing might cool some people on Sal Stewart. I'm saying might. It may not, for all we know. He might be, drafted just as high, but Sal Stewart's going before Colson Montgomery, and Colson Montgomery just did different positions, obviously, but Colson Montgomery just did this. Like, he's done it. He literally just hit 21 homers and 239 in a half a season. It's a little bit sloppy to just say, all right, let's prorate that out. And he's about to go 40 to 40. Let's do it. Let's go. But I mean, it could. I mean, Colson Montgomery could shock people. He could, like, we can get to the end of the season and be like, Colson Montgomery was obvious. Like, he was screaming at us, like, draft me. I just hit 20 homers in half a season. Why would you not draft that? Like, if people weren't so smart to look at like all his underlying numbers and they were just to be like, look at like the actual results, and you just see 21 homers and 239 in half a year. I mean, if you're just like, I feel like there's going to be some giant dopes out there that are going to draft Colson Montgomery and be like, well, he could hit 40 homers this year, and watch him do it. Watch that son of a gun do it, man. I mean, I just feel like it's at least a possibility that no one is like expecting. I'm not expecting it either, but I mean, it's got to be in the realm of possibilities. I mean, he just did it, right? I mean, I don't know. I feel like, I guess is a long way of saying he's a good value at where he's going in drafts. I mean, he's going basically free in a 12-team mixed league. He's going at like 230 overall. So, pretty decent price for even if you only get, 28 homers and a 220 average in a 15-team mixed league, as an MI, that's not bad for an MI at 230 overall. But I think I think we could get shocked. I mean, everyone is just assuming a 23-year-old who's about to turn 24 is not going to get better. Like, he could get better. His strikeout rate could get better, and he might hit. What if he comes, he cuts his strikeouts, hits 30 homers, cuts his strikeouts to 26%, and hits 255 at 230 overall in drafts? That's a good bargain.
Yeah, I mean, team needs are what they are, Gray, but if we get to like after 190 in a draft and he's sitting there, he's probably coming to my roster if he gets back to me. That just feels like a worthwhile gamble considering how hard he does hit the ball when he does hit it. Yes, obviously that's not everything. You do need to hit the ball, but there's upside here. He's already hit for, a good amount of home runs in a limited amount of time. I'm willing to take this gamble. I'd much rather take the gamble on him than like an empty Jacob Wilson. Again, in a deep league, that's different. In an only league type of thing where you have to start these guys, because Colson Montgomery absolutely could bottom out and be back in the minors. But honestly, Jacob Wilson could too. At least there's upside with Colson Montgomery. Number 21 is Bryson Stott. Number 22 is Otto Lopez. We talked about them in second baseman rankings. The next tier, number 23, Ezekiel Tovar. Last year had 95 games, hit 9 home runs, 5 stolen bases, 44-33. He hit 253, 294, and 400. You're projected for 17 home runs, 7 stolen bases, 77, 69, and a 257 average. It's another one where everything kind of looks like what it should be. Nothing really changing. He kind of is what he is. He did have some injuries through the season, triceps issue, a hip, and an oblique, which definitely cost him a little bit. I kind of feel like the injury has really dropped his ADP too far, Greg.
Yeah, no, I could see that too. Like, I was looking at like him, as if he's healthy, healthy is 20 homers, 10 steals, 270 average, 2010 270. And he's going at, after 200 overall. That's a good bargain like that. I mean, I know the Rockies have really burned us in the past, just about, every year they managed to do a doozy on us, and don't think they won't this year with Hunter Goodman. good luck drafting him as your number one catcher. But I mean, Ezekiel Tovar, I mean, he looks like a decent shot for a bounce back. Like if he can go, what did I say, 27, 270, that's basically Alex Bregman-ish. I mean, it's close. Like it's probably a good 100 pick difference between what the fantasy value is of 2070, 270 and where he's actually going in drafts.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, if we're looking at Gray, we're about 20, 30 points off of what Bo Bichette gives you if we're looking at that projection. So
yeah,
really not a bad draft cost down here. I've had a couple mocks, and I feel like I get Tovar in a each because he just keeps falling. And I'm like, well, like there's nobody else that deserves to be drafted at this point. I will take Ezekiel Tovar because nobody else wants him. And he's still going to play half his games in Colorado. So that's a plus. Next up, 24, Xander Bogaerts. Last year had 11 home runs, 20 stolen bases, 63, 53. He hit 263, 328, and 391. Young projected for 11 home runs, 17 stolen bases, 66, 54, and a 265 average. The average bat speed and fast swing rate were actually up a pretty decent amount. And the numbers actually looked better than they have from Xander from an underlying numbers standpoint. But the bad part is the numbers that we count on for fantasy still pretty mid.
Yeah, totally. Only another 15 years of a contract to go for Bogaerts. The RIP Peter Sadler, the Padres owner who passed away, RIP, seemed like a good dude, but he definitely was like, I'm dying and I don't care who's paying for this Bogaerts.
Can't take it with me.
Exactly. That was a massive, I can't take it with me, man. Here you go, Bogaerts. I mean, his kids must be like, we have Bogaerts for what, 11 years? Why would he do that? That's like, it's like some people, it's like, oh man, I wish Pa would have got rid of the Buick before he passed away. The Padres got Bogaerts as their Buick. They're like, oh man, I can't believe we have him for so many years. Yeah, I mean, like you said, Bogaerts is probably a better real baseball player. If we're gonna give the little bit of credit here, Bogaerts probably a little bit of a better baseball player than he is a fantasy baseball player. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's not really the kind of guy I usually draft because it's like, especially where he's going in drafts, he's got very little upside, I would guess. Last year 11-20 for what was it? What did he do? 11-20, 263. That's kind of like best case scenario, and it's not awful for like a deeper league, for like a 15-team mixed league or deeper. You get a guy who's like, he's going out there and he gets his 500 at bats and gets his stats. It's not awful as an MI in a 15-team mixed league, but it's really difficult to roster that in a 12-team mixed league. I think he's also like at this point the 12-team mixed leagues are kind of like done. If we talk about any more players in this podcast, they're not for 12-team mixed leagues. And Bogaerts, very marginal in that respect. I think he's probably like, he's on my overall draft rankings, I would guess he's probably around like 260 overall, which is essentially it is 12-team mixed league, but it's barely. It's I think there's 275 players in a 12-team mixed league. I think he's right at the edge of being worthwhile to draft in a 12-team mixed league. And but in a deeper league, he's probably a little bit more valuable. Like his ADP right now his ADP is 230 overall for 15-team mixed leagues. That sounds about right because like I said, in a deeper league, you do want a guy who is guaranteed a spot in the lineup and is going to give you some stats, but very little upside.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, Gray. I mean, there's not a whole lot here. It's just he's going to play every day. He's going to give you what he's going to give you. It's crazy how much money gets thrown at just 300 average with not much else. Like looking at Xander, looking at Bo Bichette. Like if you hit 300 and don't really do anything else, you can still get paid a lot. I mean, at least Xander's good on defense. 125 million for 3 years on Bo is crazy numbers. Next up, Gray, 25, Jose Caballero. We talked about him on the second baseman. Next up is a new tier, number 26, Anthony Volpe, number 27, Carlos Correa, 28, Mason Wynn. Let's just talk about this tier as a group, Gray, since we're getting a little bit long here. Volpe last year had 19 home runs, 18 stolen bases, 65, 72, and hit 212. Correa had 13 home runs and hit 276. Mason Wynn had 9 home runs, 9 stolen bases, and hit 253. Just I'll let you talk about these three, Gray.
Yeah, so I think Volpe, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because he had shoulder surgery. It'll be interesting to see what happens when he is healthy. If they I believe he has blackmail on Aaron Boone, and that's why Aaron Boone keeps playing him. But it'll be interesting to see what happens when he returns because by that point, Caballero will have already been the starter. So it's, will the Yankees and Boone just, bench Caballero indefinitely because they're both righties. So it's like, I mean, I know Caballero, like he can go to third when they're facing lefties because Ryan McMahon can't hit lefties. So Caballero moves to third. Volpe plays short then, but that's only versus lefties. At a certain point, injuries will happen. So Caballero can play all over the field. So who knows? I mean, Giancarlo goes down, something happens to Ben Rice. Things could happen. So Caballero can get his at-bats. But Volpe, you would assume Volpe is going to get some at-bats too, if not near every day, because, that's what, Boone has always done. He's always given him every day at-bats. So when Volpe returns, if he is an everyday shortstop again, I feel like his fantasy value doesn't get better, but he hurts other people's fantasy value. So it's like he's not only hurting himself by returning, but he's hurting us. Is essentially what I'm saying. So I don't know. It's worth considering with Volpe, when he's going to return and what he's going to do to the Yankees lineup. As for him specifically, I feel like I've said enough on Volpe. His everything underlying his numbers is like too many. It's like ground balls, fly balls, lousy contact, not enough of it. Now moving towards that, it's just it's not great. Not great stuff going on there. Carlos Correa, he's good for 110 games maybe. And then Mason Wynn, I had hopes for Mason Wynn at one point last year. I thought there could be something there, but it hasn't really worked out where he hasn't really he's not doing anything with power or speed. So unfortunately, he's good on defense, but that doesn't help us a ton. So I think Mason Wynn probably is at best a flyer for a deeper league because he should play, as many games as he's healthy for. He could play 155 plus games. With that might come 12 homers, 12 steals, and a 255 average, which is really blah.
Yeah, it is. I will say, there was definitely a case for him last year, and sometimes you get Xavier Edwards, sometimes you get Mason Wynn. Unfortunately, if you drafted Mason Wynn, you got Mason Wynn. However, Mason Wynn actually hits the ball harder in just about every measurable way that you can find, and he's faster than Xavier Edwards. It's just too many fly balls for no power guy. Like, if they can convince him to put the ball on the ground, I do think there's some upside here for Mason Wynn. The other big issue is that St. Louis just, for whatever reason, has not joined the stolen base change. Like, they're still stealing like it's 2004. So that's a problem in regards to his upside. But I do think there's a little bit here on Mason Wynn where if they can just get him to hit the ball on the ground rather than they're not even warning track fly balls. They're like middle outfield fly ball outs. So if we can just get him not to do that, I do think there's some upside here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
And with Brendan Donovan gone, the top of the lineup is potentially open if he can do that. So there's also a little bit of room for some county numbers as well. This is the last tier we're going to talk about, Gray. Is there anybody from this tier that you want to talk about? I'm going to run through the names. We've talked about a lot of them already on different shows. Ernie Clement, Andre Jimenez, Brendan Donovan, Brooks Lee, Chase Meadroth, Zach McKinstry, J.J. Weatherholt, Connor Griffin, Kevin McGonigal, J.P. Crawford, Josh H. Smith, Ha-Sung Kim, Jared Triolo, Jake Cronenworth, Joey Ortiz, Hai-Sung Kim, Nassim Nunez, Brian Rocchio, Brooks Baldwin, Gabriel Arias, and Nick Gonzalez.
If I could say, because of the Brendan Donovan trade, it literally just happened before we started this podcast, so it's a little early for me to say exactly how that affects the Cardinals. But if that meant J.J. Weatherholt definitely was going to have an everyday spot, and he, you can pencil him in for 150 games, say, or 140 at least. He would move. I will move him in the rankings. I will move him up to above, probably above like Bogarts, like that area, like the back end of a 12-team mixed league, maybe around 200 overall. I'll move him to, because Weatherholt has good power, good speed. We've never been burned by a Cardinals prospect before. Wait a second. Jordan Walker, what are you doing here? Jordan Walker, what? Maybe that was an overreaction to how terrible Jordan Walker is. Maybe it wasn't. Who's to say? I like JJ Weatherholt, especially if the Donovan trade means Weatherholt's moving into the everyday lineup for opening day on. Other than that, I mean, there wasn't a ton of guys there. I mean, Connor Griffin's really interesting, but I don't buy that the Pirates are going to give him a legit shot to break camp. I just don't see it. I really don't. Unfortunately, I wish they were, but yeah, I don't know. There's some talk that the Tigers might actually give Kevin McGonigal a chance, which again, like if in March. And the reason why we're doing 2 podcasts a week for these positions, so we can do like news and spring training in March. If it looks like McGonigal actually is going to break camp with the Tigers, I will move him up in my rankings as well. And he's interesting as well. But that'll be for another podcast. In March, we'll see what it's looking like with their playing time. Other than those guys, these are really boring names. There's nothing.
Yeah, nothing really here. Those are the 3 that I was going to bring up as well, and they're the 3 prospects down here. And again, if we find out that they're going to have legitimate chances or they are going to be breaking camp, they would move up significantly. I would probably move them all. I don't know. I have Jacob Wilson a lot lower. They're all moving above Jacob Wilson for me, but he's down with like Xander Bogaerts. So like they're all moving up above Jacob Wilson and Xander Bogaerts. For me, just on the upside alone, especially we're talking about a 12-team league. Again, the deeper the league, the more you need playing time. But those guys are amazing prospects, and they've all performed terrific in the minors last year. So they are really fun guys if you're just looking for names to monitor on the prospect side, or if you just have a prospect spot in your league that you can throw somebody. Those are not bad names to look at. If you have any specific questions, you can always find us on X. I am at Razzbeaton. Gray owns the at Razzball account. You can find us on YouTube at razzball.com or youtube.com/Razzball Fantasy. And of course, you can find us in the comment section on razzball.com. We will be back later this week for third base. I will talk to you later, Gray.
Late.